It all began before the cameras had even begun to roll. It all began with a single bombshell claim, and some behind-the-scenes rumors. Sources close to the production claim that during the filming of episode 3, Erica boldly accused Mendeecees of having an affair in the past, causing the tension that had been building for months to finally explode. Insiders claim that the atmosphere on set quickly deteriorated, but what happened next was not shown on television. The producer was heard to have lost it. "I kind of lost it." As crew members rushed to settle things down, reports indicate that Mendeecees reacted with an angry outburst, even yelling at Erica. Erica isn't keeping silent this time, even if Mendeecees hasn't publicly discussed the event. She said in an enigmatic message, "I stayed silent once, never again." Now, there are rumors circulating that Erica is ready to go far, far beyond. According to sources, she has informed someone close to the cast, "If he wants to play dirty, I'll send him to jail this time." Fans are in disbelief. The family is in disarray. Yandi is trapped in the midst of a storm that is no longer confined to the background. What is actually happening between Mendeecees and Erica? What is the extent of her willingness to go? Since season 13 began filming, the tension had been gradually increasing, hardly noticeable. However, nothing could have prepared anyone for the explosion that occurred in episode 3 behind the scenes. Erica showed up on set that morning with a steely purpose in her eyes. According to insiders, it's the kind of determination that results from months of unsolved issues and brewing animosity. Innumerable nights had been spent mentally reliving events, reconstructing conversations and dialogue fragments, obsessing over every little detail, until the recollection of past humiliation was more intense than ever. Drama is nothing new to her, and this time she was prepared to demand accountability at all costs, in addition to speaking her truth. Tension was in the air as the crew got ready to film a group scene. With her phone pressed and her ear listening, Erica stood slightly off camera. Carefully. Among the workers, whispers spread like wildfire. She is discussing legal action with someone. The actual action was taking place out of sight, but the cameras were rolling. Unaware that the confrontation was about to break, a producer asked for silence. The event first unfolded as staged, courteous greetings, light-hearted banter, and shallow smiles. But then Erica dropped her clipboard to the ground while her eyes flashed. Every head turned as the sound reverberated around the studio. Her steady, quiet voice was the only sound to break the dense silence. "This is no longer what we do." DC was taken by surprise and looked at her with a mixture of astonishment and a more sinister sense of fear. Maybe he tried to reply, but his words fell flat. Him. He murmured something beneath his breath, according to a source. Then the air was broken by a single profanity. Erica's look remained unwavering, and a close assistant cameraman claimed to have heard him exclaim, "You've lost your mind." Leaning forward, she spat out the charge she had practiced for months. Yandi, seated across from them, looked shell-shocked, her cheeks burning like a flame, tears threatening to spill. "You know why I'm here. You know exactly why." Crew members exchanged perplexed looks, unsure whether to intervene or continue filming. The line between reality and performance blurred in that charged moment. Had heard rumors of an old pregnancy claim, but had told herself it was history, a chapter closed. Now, as Erica's words cut through the tension, Yandi realized the wound had never healed. She tried to stand to speak, but her legs felt weak. She would later confess in her confessional that she had felt betrayed by the crew's previous jokes and dismissals, as well as by her husband's silence. "I thought we were past this," she whispered, voice breaking. "I assumed everything was over." Producers rushed in, arms outstretched, trying to calm the storm. One of them, pale-faced, grabbed Erica's arm. "Let's take a break," she urged. But Erica shrugged free, voice rising. "No breaks until he is held accountable for his actions." "We can handle this off camera," muttered another producer as he attempted to escort Mendeecees away. The entire set held its breath for a moment as Mendeecees stood his ground, chest heaving, and looked at the cameras and then at the crew, as if considering his options. Inside the editing room, technicians exchanged anxious glances. Social media was ablaze with speculation. Had Erica really threatened legal action? Was Mendeecees concealing something unimaginable? Fans are shocked that real emotions erupted with such ferocity, leaving even seasoned reality stars reeling. The footage of Erica's confrontation was invaluable, but would the network allow such unscripted chaos? And what part had Yandi's prolonged silence played? The family was split, trust was shattered along unanticipated fault lines, Whispers became roars outside the studio walls. Audio snippets of Erica's clip demanded. Mendeecees' shocked curse made its way to blogs and gossip sites, and headlines blared. Fans enthusiastically chose teams in response to Mendeecees' unexpected meltdown and Erica's explosive breakdown. Team Yandy for bearing the fallout in almost silence. Team Mendeecees for being unfairly ambushed, and Team Erica for confronting past wrongs. Comments poured in. "I can't believe he cursed at her." After the scene, Rashida reportedly drew Erica away to attempt to determine whether this was a real outburst or a calculated maneuver for ratings. Friends of the cast are divided. Yandy deserves an apology. Emotions ran high throughout digital battlegrounds. According to another confidant, Scrappy approached Mendeecees privately and advised him to make a public statement before the rumor mill destroyed them all. However, Mendeecees, as usual, remained silent and retreated into silence like a fortress. Erica reportedly replied, eyes blazing, "I'm only doing what he should have done years ago. Take responsibility." Meanwhile, Yandy withdrew to her caravan, shaking from the inside out. A crew member discovered her seconds later, head in her hands, trembling, and she whispered, "I just want answers." When asked what she needed, the rawness of her suffering, which was subtly conveyed through grainy behind-the-scenes footage, further heightened fan interest as the adrenaline of Episode 3's filming wore off. Erica withdrew to a quiet corner, the weight of her actions beginning to weigh in as she gazed at the overturned clipboard on the floor, a simple prop-turn symbol of a refusal to play along. Her assistant came over and handed her a folded piece of paper, which reportedly contained contact information for a lawyer Erica had consulted weeks earlier. Viewers started to wonder how long Yandy had known about the affair rumors, what she had gone through in private, and why she had continued to support Mendeecees. The sun dipped low outside the studio windows, casting long shadows across the lot, and the lights dimmed as crews wrapped up for the day, but the tension lingered, like smoke. The notice had never been filed yet, and she had kept her thread in reserve, revealing it at the right time. Continued. Erica's final words to a shocked Grip team member reverberated down the hallway. "This isn't over until he faces the music." She then strode off, heels clicking on the concrete, leaving a set broken by unspoken anger, guilt, and a desire for justice. Inside the deserted soundstage, a single clipboard was lying unused, pages fluttering in the breeze from a stray door left ajar. Was a quiet testament to the lines drawn between Yandy's loyalty and her heartbreak, between Erica and Mendeecees, and between the polished reality that the audience was expecting and the unvarnished truth that was exploding behind the scenes. As night fell, the unanswered questions continued to float through the hallways, demanding answers, and one thing was certain: no one on that set would be able to sleep easy until the fallout was completely revealed. Erica arrived earlier than anyone else, her jaw set, determination flickering in her gaze. She had asked for a private meeting with production, and word got out that she was going to present proof of Mendeecees' betrayal. The set felt uncannily quiet the morning after Episode 3 wrapped. With the usual buzz of activity replaced by hushed conversations and stolen glances, it felt personal. As if life, she confessed to a friend, her voice barely above a whisper. "Everyone's watching him, but who's watching me?" she said. Erica sees the story while Yandy struggles with heartbreak. At one point, she cornered a producer, sliding the folder across the desk once more. "I want this included uncut. I've been by his side through hell and back. Now, I'm not sure if he's the man I married. We're merely acting. Viewers don't see the complete picture." The producer paused, warning her of possible legal resistance, but Erica was unfazed. "Let them sue," she replied in a low, adamant voice. "We have the receipts," Crosset Scrappy remarked, watching her leave with a mixture of awe and uneasiness in his eyes. Then came the whispered rumor that changed everything again. An unaired audio clip of Mendeecees confessing guilt had surfaced online. ALLEGEDLY, recorded by a cast member's phone and played on late-night gossip shows with shaky footage of Mendeecees' strained face. He'd never seen her this determined, and he feared where this momentum would lead. In the video, he said, "I was wrong." His voice cracked as he said, "I should have done the test," but in the next breath, "But I can't deal with her drama." Fans erupted, further dividing themselves. Some praised the audio as proof that Erica was right, while others dismissed it as selective editing. Who knows, maybe it's fake news. The leak rocked the studio, with cast members gathering in whispered circles to discuss who could have recorded the conversation and why it was made public. Rashida now suggested it might be a ploy by producers to increase ratings, while Bambi conjectured it was a renegade crew member fed up with the fight. No one knew for sure, but the tension surged higher than ever before. "We need to talk," Mendeecees muttered, clearing his throat as he entered the cast lounge. His face pallid and his eyes darting across the room as he was encircled by the rush of reaction. Cameras were rigged, and the cast rushed to their positions. As the abrupt announcement was made, Mendeecees asks for a moment alone with Yandi and Erica before rolling, but Mike is hot. The room smoldered with unspoken accusations. Yandi's breathing was shallow, as if she was expecting a last blow. And production staff silently set up chairs in a semicircle, anticipation humming like an electric current. Mendeecees stared at Yandi, and then at Erica, and his voice cracked as he set the conditions. "No cameras. I simply need to explain." Tension suddenly gave way to a fragile stillness. "Never meant to hurt either of you," he said, as Yandi's eyes filled with tears and Erica folded her arms, making it impossible to interpret. "I admit I was terrified," he added. I didn't. Music, are you prepared for the consequences?" "So I ran. I stayed silent." His confession hung in the air, heavy and raw. For a fleeting moment, it felt like the conflict might shift towards resolution, but Erica pressed on, leaning forward. "You didn't just escape from me," she said quietly. "You ran from her too. You abandoned her to protect you on your own." To both women, "I thought silence would protect us." Mendeecees hung his head and murmured, "I couldn't handle seeing the pain on your faces." Yandi winced at the insinuation but said nothing. His avoidance had broken trust instead of restoring it. The private moment lasted only minutes before production stepped in and demanded retakes, and as the women filed back onto the set, their faces weighed down by the weight of unfiltered emotion. Erica carried herself with quiet authority. Yandi's eyes glistened with tears as she heard the admission she'd longed for. But the hurt was too deep for immediate forgiveness. The cameras returned. But the scene's scripted lines now rang hollow beneath the undercurrent of truth. Later in her confessional, Erica said, "Yandi looked exhausted but determined, as if she had crossed a threshold she could never unsee." Mendeecees walked behind them, shoulders hunched, the first sign of humility he'd shown all season. Her words struck a chord, igniting fan discussions until dawn. In the meantime, Mendeecees recorded his own confessional, a rare admission of fault. "I'm not proud of hiding. I should have been honest. I didn't want his apology. I wanted his accountability." Throughout the evening, #Mendeecees confession trended, alongside #Erica Revenge, illustrating the chaos unfolding as emotions simmered into unrest. And the cast prepared for the next day's shoot, unsure of what drama would surface. Submission further divided audiences, with some calling it a turning point and others seeing it as damage control. While Mendeecees' audio leak had deepened the rift, Yandi's loyalty hung in the balance, her trust irrevocably shaken. Behind the scenes, networks argued over how much of the private meeting to broadcast. Every cast member felt the weight of a story that had slipped beyond television and into real lives. In that delicate space between camera angles, one truth remained. After the raw admissions were captured on camera, Erica realized the real battle was just getting started, so she spent her break pacing outside her trailer, playing Mendeecees' apology over and over again. The fight for justice, forgiveness, and validation was far from over. As the sun set, studio lights burned bright, casting long shadows across the soundstage. Tension hung in the air like an unspoken promise of more conflict to come. And over, in her mind, one tear trickled down her cheek, but her jaw stayed firmly in place. She wasn't looking for sympathy, but rather for justice and closure. Yandi sat by herself on a comfortable couch in the green room, wearing headphones to block out the clamor of gossip around her. She listened to a mindfulness app, but every calming chime only served to remind her of the volume of her own thoughts. She recalled images of Mendeecees' distressed face, interspersed with a glimpse of Erica's unblinking gaze. She came to the realization that forgiveness would not be simple, and that loyalty had become a complicated web of love, hurt, and uncertainty. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and vowed to put her own safety first, no matter where her heart took her. Within hours, fans all over the world learned of Mendeecees' confession and the leaked audio. An anonymous account claimed that Erica had hired a private investigator to track Mendeecees' past movements, unearthing evidence of secret meetings and unreported phone calls. The rumor sent viewers into a frenzy, demanding footage of the investigation. And producers panicked, fearing that unverified material might invite lawsuits before this season even aired. Bloggers analyzed every detail, calling it everything, from a redemption arc to a calculated damage control stunt. A quiet corner of the lot, she outlined her strategy. She would use the network's legal department to formalize her claims, explaining that if Mendeecees didn't agree to a formal apology that would be shown on camera and a public acknowledgement of her ordeal, she would press charges of emotional distress and defamation. She said softly, "I want the world to know that my pain isn't just entertainment." Her friends looked at her warily, knowing that she had the evidence to support her threats. But they also recognized the danger a full-fledged legal battle could permanently destroy the cast. Mendeecees, who was unaware of the details, felt the change and the energy, and he came on set for a solo confession. The director hesitated, uncertain whether to cut, but Erica cleared her throat and said, "You forgot something," in a steady voice, and Mendeecees froze, the words lingering between them as he started to talk about his regrets. However, the cameras caught more than just his prepared lines. In the break room, crew members gathered around monitors, stunned by the intrusion. They had witnessed actors clash before, but never like this, never with legal stakes hanging over every word on camera. A sound engineer muttered, "This is going to change the game." Microphones unintentionally recorded every breath he took, and the moment had the charged electricity of a live wire snapping into, threatening to ignite the entire set. As video of Erica's interruption went viral, viewers argued over whether the network had staged it for dramatic effect or if Erica had pushed her way into the spotlight. Regardless, they all agreed that the stakes had never been higher. Yandi, attracted by the chaos, followed the trail of rumors to the edge of the set and observed her own burden, and she knew she had to speak to explain her own part in this developing story. Seeking a producer, she set out to find her own microphone and correct Yandi. Could step in. Mendeecees fled the scene, his face etched with pain and humiliation, as he made his way through cables and light hands in a desperate attempt to get away. Erica watched him leave, her face unreadable, while Yandi appeared behind him, wiping her cheeks with the back of her hand. After a moment, she came up to Erica and said, "Can we talk?" Her voice trembled as she asked, "I don't know how to be with him anymore. I feel like everything we had is built on lies." Yandi's words came out in a rush as Erica turned, the folder still tightly gripped, and studied him for a long moment before closing the distance between them. Their conversation was quiet, carried on the breeze of a cool evening. "You're right," Erica said, nodding, her shoulders drooping for the first time. "And he needs to know that you're not just collateral damage here." That quiet conversation, driven by mutual treachery, created a tenuous bond. A heartbeat passed while they stayed. The consequences of one man's secrets bind to women. Shaken and unkempt, DC withdrew to his trailer on stage. A bottle of water was slid across his desk by an assistant. Head in hands, he sat ponderously. There was a knock on the door. His brother was providing assistance. Their voices were muffled as they chatted softly. Mendeecees said, "Inside. I didn't anticipate it, progressing this far. I believed that an apology would suffice." His brother gave a headshake. He said, "You underestimated her. You now have to deal with the repercussions." A dim camera light flickered outside the caravan as someone filmed through the windscreen. There was no way out, not even in his refuge. The network held an emergency meeting with the cast in a huge conference room as darkness fell. At the front, executives stood with solemn expressions. They spoke to the camera crews, reminding them of the dangers of defamation and the significance of adhering to network policies. As they lay there, the room was alive with anxious energy. Ground rules. No cameras after this. All subsequent script discussions would be attended by legal representatives, and any discovered off-camera film would be examined for compliance. In the back row, Mendeecees' lawyer and Erica's legal counsel nodded curtly at each other. Between them, Yandi sat with her gaze fixed on the table, caught between dread and support. Following the formalities, Erica was approached in private by the head of production for the network. Yandi, on the other hand, paced past her own vehicle while holding her phone tightly. She read through a barrage of hurtful and encouraging social media comments. A comment struck her, and she paused. This fairy tale disaster is not fair to Yandi. She let out a breath and turned to seeking clarity by focusing on the night sky. She realized then that the decisions they made when the world wasn't there would determine the next chapter of their lives. Not cameras or network editors. As he sat behind the wheel of his car, watching with the engine running, Mendeecees closed his eyes and reflected on the man he had been before scandal and fame. His thumb hovered over Yandy's number as he went for his phone and opened a contacts list. Rather than phoning, LHHATL private investigator's report file was erased from his screen. It was an insignificant deed, a flimsy apology. Rebuilding trust would need more than words or legal paperwork, he realized as he wiped his fingers across his face. Real change would be necessary. The lot became quiet as the night dragged on. Lights went out on sound stages and trailers one by one. However, the reverberations of the conflicts that day persisted. Woven into the very structure of the location where performance and reality met, the manila folder sat idle in the deserted hallways. Its weight on Erica's desk serves as a reminder of both past and future struggles. The drama was far from over, even if the cameras had stopped rolling. And with legal battles raging and feelings high, everyone was aware that the battle for truth, atonement, and peace would recommence under harsh scrutiny of the public, as well as the studio lighting. Episode 3's aftermath is gone. Everyone is in shock, and there are more and more inquiries. You've heard Mendeecees confess his errors in private, witnessed Yandy torn between shock and loyalty, and watched Erica put forth all the proof. Is the situation truly resolved by an apology and a quickly removed investigation file? Though the suspense increases as the cameras pause. Will Erica fulfill her vow to file a lawsuit and make men deal with repercussions outside of reality TV? Can Yandy manage to regain trust? Or is the gap too great to cross? Furthermore, what about the audio clip that was leaked? Was it an actual slip, a setup, or just an authorlier of intrigue in this drama with high stakes? Don't assume that this story is coming to an end. The network is currently editing the program for next week to include